We do not have to think too far back in our distant past to recollect the time where a large segment of our population was shackled in human bondage. This institution of slavery occurred and lasted for over 80 years as a legal form of our government, our religious leaders, our political leaders, all told us that this was a fact of life and was right and proper. The bloodletting of the American Civil War freed the black population of this country, but yet, for almost another 100 years, we lived in a strictly segregated society. Now, certainly, since the
I'll let you do it. You might have to get up and forward.
60s, we have come a long way. But having said that, we still have a long ways to go. And I think that we have woefully underrepresented and underreported the rich black heritage and history of our area, our state, and our country. If we are collectively proud of the courage and the perseverance of our ancestors, surely the legacy of black Americans hold a shining example of perseverance. And if it's an important lesson in life for us to realize that the importance of being knocked down in life is equal to whether we rise up and embrace a different direction. We have much to learn from our black brothers and sisters. So I have the pleasure this morning of introducing to you our presenter, Mr. Lester Whittington. He's the director at the Martin Luther King Recreation Center here in Lenoir. A man who has spent much of his life inspiring and encouraging the youth, middle-aged, and older folks of the black community, and giving them direction and pride in their story. So I hope everybody will welcome Mr. Whittington.
Thank you. Thank you. I want my pastor to come up. He's going to try to get this going. I hope everybody's are feeling good this morning. I'm going to talk about a few things about the Freeman community and the history of the Freeman community, but the main thing I'll be focused on is the George Washington Carver Library, which was the hub of our community. It was a rich community. We had a lot of things going on in that community, but the main thing I'm gonna focus on is to get started is I'm proud to be here. I hope y'all enjoy what it's not gonna be long now. It's gonna be short and to the point. But I just want y'all to understand some of the things about the community. Yes, I'm proud to be living in that community. I grew up in that community. My family played a major part in that community. But first, I'm gonna take you back a little bit. In that Freeman community, I had to read this because Miss Sylvia Green told me if I don't read this, she'll kill me. So this is from Miss Sylvia Green. In this community, we had the Paramount Grill, we had the Horton Sandwich Shop, East Finley Daycare and Apartment Rental. We had the Reed's Radio and TV Repair Shop there. We had the Pat's Grocery and Cab Stand there. We had the East Finley Tea Room. We had the 90-Pound Grill, the Harrington Street's Pool Room and Two Spot. That was a club. We had the Brick Mason Contractor. They had a business there. We had the Stone Mason and Apartment Complex there. We have a movie theater in that community. We had a movie theater. I did not know that. We had a dance hall and a pool room. We also had a Twilight Beauty Parlor, a Heart and Beauty Salon, 2 barbershops, and we had Mr. Leroy Felder grocery store and rental house, and we also had a rest home there. Now, can you imagine in Freeman from Finley all the way through, you had all those businesses in that community where we all, I'm 53 years old, so I'm just talking the top of my head about some of this stuff, that we had that stuff right there in your community where you didn't have to go downtown to, the shop. We had our own cabs, we had our own movie theater, so I guess that was the hub of that community, is you have your own stuff there. So I was amazed to know that we had all that stuff in that small community. But the main thing of that community was the George Washington Carver Library, which you see here there. Now feel free, I'm gonna go slow, I'm gonna flick the slide and ask questions. I might not know some of these answers, but I'm gonna do my best to answer some of these. I tried to get Miss Green to come do this, but she didn't want to. She saw I could do a good job, so I'm gonna hope I do her some justice. This is an actual picture of the George Washington Carver Library. It was a 1-story building, opened in 1952 to 1968. It was on East Finley Avenue. Now, if you come through Freeman from the main street, it's sitting on the right-hand stair. I think it's, what's her down, Jackie? Durant's. It's like a beauty parlor or store there now. That's what's sitting over there now. But that's where the library used to be. My grandmother, Miss Lavlet Jones, ran that library for many of years until she retired. So can you imagine that library, a pool hall, a movie theater, all this stuff in that small community that everybody went there and had a good time. This is my grandmother, Miss Lavlet Jones. Lavlet Jones, Whittington Jones. She was a Jones. She married a Whittington, then she married a Jones. We should call her Nanny. When I was a young man going to the library, I didn't understand why everybody in the community was calling her Nanny. I said, she can't be everybody's nanny. She's my nanny. But that's how my grandmother was. She was a kind-hearted lady. She loved books. She loved working in the garden. She loved helping people. She was a church-going lady. She had 5 kids. She had 2 sons and 3 daughters, which my mother, Miss Dixie Durr. But I just remember the times going to the library with my grandmother and just spending time. She always, there was 10 of us in my family, 5 boys and 5 girls, but we always had to read something. We always had to keep a book in our hands. She believed in that we always were reading something. She always asked us questions about what we have read. So my grandmother played a big part in that library. She loved that library. That was her heart. And when she retired, I think it took a little bit from her, but she lived right across the street from the library, so she just walked across there every day and did what she wanted to do. But my grandmother, she was a special lady. She was a caring lady, and she believed in doing things for others. She believed in helping others. I was talking to Miss Green before I came up here. She said, if you could not get out of your car to get your books, she would bring the books to you. So I thought that was amazing. I said, well, all you had to do was get out of your car and walk up there and get your books. But that's the type of person my grandmother was. So that's my grandmother, my nanny, and she was my heart. She passed away in 1977, my freshman year in high school at Lenore High. I remember that day well because I was coming home from basketball practice and Mom said, well, got some news to tell you. Nanny died. I said, what? So I took my basketball, slung it. I thought I was slinging it over the house. Slung it through the window. I busted the window. I thought I was crying, but my mama gave me something to cry for because I broke that window out. So she wore me out for that. So I remember that, David. This is her. And it said, it's more than a book, it's a dream. That was her passion. When they started this library, they only had 919 books in this library. In one room, they had 919 books. When she retired, they had over 10,000 books in this library. Can you imagine starting out with 900 and ending up over 10,000 books? So that was her thing, and she always went around, make sure the books was in order, and that was my job a little bit, grabbing the books for her and going around with them. We was putting them back on shelf, but that was amazing to find out she started out with 900 some books, and then when she, at the end of it, they had over 10,000 books in that library. So that was a real good thing. Next, please. Remember, though, education is power. She believed in education. Education was a must for her. She believed in us to get our education. Like I said, it was 10 of us. I think 5 of us went and got our college degree. But she always still that in our community. I know she talked to a lot of kids about going to school, going to college, and that's what she always believed in, going to get your education, making something out of yourself. Always asking questions, you know, what you're going to be in life. So that was her big thing right there, is about education. And some of these pictures, I got about 4 o'clock the other morning because we're doing something else, and I found these pictures in my old, my grandmother had a lot of books, pictures and stuff, so I found this old picture there, and I pulled that up. No, that's not, these ladies are not from Lenore. They are from Virginia. These are my aunt's pictures. My aunt Sarah was a principal in Newport News. She was very well known up there in Virginia for his education. That's why I was talking about how my grandmother still education. My aunt Sarah was a education woman too. So this is some of her stuff that she, pictures that I got from her. Next. How many of y'all remember the Bookmobile that used to go around the community? That was happy time for me, riding around on that Bookmobile, going to the different communities, letting everybody check out books. I thought that was so amazing that we did stuff like that, going to the rural areas where people couldn't get to the library and give the kids the opportunity to read, kids and adults. 'Cause I remember so many people came up there to check out the books. And that was just like a fun time. They see that Bookmobile and everybody just lost their mind. Oh, the Bookmobile, the Bookmobile. And that was so great. We need stuff like this. We need to get books and stuff to these kids today. I do believe it. I think the internet and all that stuff is good, but how many of our kids now today pick up a book and read? I think we need to instill that back in our kids, reading. I think reading is a key to for our kids today. One thing about my grandmother, she believed in scrapbooks. Anything happened in the Freeman or in Lenore, she kept a scrapbook about it. If you go to the Caldwell County Library today, 3 of her scrapbooks are over there. They will not let you check them out because I asked could I bring them over here to show y'all her scrapbooks. But she has stuff back in there. I can tell you the stuff that she just kept everything, Christmas cards, anything happened, she kept a record of it. That was her way of keeping a record. It was funny, she's no longer with us, Vicky Howe. She was another lady that she said my grandmother inspired her to do the same thing, keeping records and scrapbooks and stuff. So Vicky did a presentation a couple years ago about my grandmother, about the scrapbooks and keeping records and stuff like that. So that's where all this comes from. So if you get a chance, sometime in the near future, go to the Caldwell County Library and look at my grandmother's scrapbooks. You'll be amazed some of the stuff you'll see in there. Remember the foundation. I do believe in my heart that the women back then was the foundation of the family. I can honestly say it was 10 of us. My mother made sure that we did our homework, we did our chores, we did all the stuff, because the men was there, but they wasn't there. I can speak for my father. But them women and my grandmother, the women made sure everything was there for us. They made sure your kids went to school and did all the good stuff. And this is a picture of one of my grandmother's social groups. They used to meet all the time, and you can see how sharp they are. They dressed real nice back then, and that was a good picture that I thought I wanted to share with y'all. But the foundation of this was the women. I think the women of the day, and you see so much stuff. I see a lot of stuff going on at the center, where single parent homes and kids don't have a father there. And I try to instill in them, and I try to instill in the mothers, spend time with your kids, talk to your kids, do things with your kids. Because it was different back then, but now you got to spend time. You got to show your kids what's going on. If you don't, we'll lose them. We are losing our kids. So please, grandparents, I know some of the grandparents are raising their kids these days, so spend time with your kids and talk to them. And the reason, this is the display I have going on at the Martin Luther King Center. And the reason I always pick a theme, this year's theme is Black Local Authors. I went to the Caldwell County Library and I was talking to Forrest. I don't think he's there anymore, I think he's moved on. We have 18 black authors here from Caldwell County that has written books. There was only 2 of their books in the library. Yes, I was upset, but talking to Forrest, we sit down and we discuss things, and we are now, I'm having a book signing February 20th, I'm gonna pass out some information. We're now gonna get all the authors' books over at the Caldwell County Library. You should always, history is a big part in my heart, you know, and I told Forrest that you should have all of these authors' books over, and they have written some good books. If you get a chance, come up to the Martin Luther King Center and see this display, because I think it's a wonderful display and it shows everything about our authors, and we're going to have 6 of them there February the 20th at 4 o'clock. Come meet them, talk to them, and see what inspired them to write their books. A lot of us about Caldwell County, Lenore, growing up here, and it's real good. I wish you could see it real good. It's like I bought a typewriter from here. I got an old phone and my thought pattern was that the author is sitting at his desk typing. And he got his phone there and there's a little old fan there, and he's just thinking and writing his books. So that was the reason of this display. But we are doing so much at the Martin Luther King Center for Black History Month, and I hope everybody come up and take a part of it. And one thing I can say about Black history, yes, they call it Black history, but it's everybody's history. We all take part of history, you know. I don't look at color. I look at people working together, coming together. I had a jazz show last Friday night. I wish you could have been there. It was black, white, everybody there enjoying music. It wasn't no color barrier, nothing there. And that's what when I do Black history, do anything, I enjoy people coming together. So on that note, I hope y'all come out on the 20th and talk to some of these authors and support them. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask me. And I got this book, and Miss Green gave me this book. This is so amazing. I'm gonna pass this around. This book is it's like an almanac. It has everybody's family in here, where you live, what was your occupation, and it was something amazing to read in here. Maybe some of your family members in here. It's like a bank reference book here. So I'm gonna pass this around if you want to look at it, and look and see if any of your family members are in this book. It is an interesting book, and maybe you see some of your old family members in here. I'm gonna pass this around. Do anybody have any questions? Feel free. Yes, sir.
Yes, Lester. The age of the people of the authors, is it a great, do we have all ages of
All age, yes.
So what's maybe the youngest to the oldest person?
I think Mr. Charles Witherspoon is 46.
Right.
He's the youngest.
Yes, thank you.
And I think the oldest is around 65, 66, something like that.
That was Charles Witherspoon from over in the Warrior community.
That's where his family's from. He's from the Freeman community.
Okay.
This is Charles Witherspoon Jr., the son.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Is the news topic going to do an article about these black authors being?
I hope so. Maybe we can push them to do that.
I hope they will.
Yes. Yes. The News Stops has been doing a great job for us, because they've been doing some stuff in there for me, and they always call in and asking me questions, what's going on. Hickory Daily Record even got involved with it too. They had a nice article in the Hickory Daily Record too. Yes, ma'am.
I thought we had a younger author.
Well, yeah, Kenzie Scott, but hers is published with other authors. It was like so many in that Devonport book. She just had it wasn't like a book. It was like tell them about different authors, but she is in there. We do have one about, how old is Kinsey, 12, 10, 11, 12. She wrote a little book, and it's from Devonport School, and we got her book up there. It's a combination of all. That's why I didn't say it wasn't just all book on her.
Hours for that book signing?
It's from 4 to 6, and Jack, you want to pass these out for me, or Pastor? This is my pastor, Reverend Charlie Ravens. We belong to Smithmore United Methodist Church. Always feel free to worship with us. Is that a good plug, Pastor?
I thought he was here for your moral.
Yes, sir.
How do the books get collected? Do they buy the books? Do people give them the books?
Most of those books, I bought most of those books, but the library is going to have somebody there purchasing those books.
Talking about your grandmother.
That's a good question. I'm sure people donated though, or I guess the library was part of North Carolina library stuff. People gave the books to them. I'm sure that was, I really don't know how. I just know there was a lot of books there.
The ladies that you had the picture of?
Yes.
There was no names under that?
Because I don't know number one of them. I just knew my grandmother. Pastor, can you go back on that picture? Miss Robin's mother named about 4 of them. I didn't know. I just knew my grandmother's picture in there. That was the only one.
Trying to make them out since you,
Yeah.
Put that back up there. It's like, I think one of them mounted.
Probably. Yeah, because they was all in that same area.
What happened to the library?
They tore it down.
I never.
I guess this library opened up here and they just closed it down and brought everything uptown. Yeah.
Okay.
Next one. Go back to. No, keep going. Keep going. No, keep going. Right there. The lady on this end, the one right here, is my grandmother. Just point to the second one.
The one sitting up front?
No, right there. That's her. That's my grandmother.
The one right there in front of her sitting on the arm?
Yeah.
I think that's my mom.
Oh, okay. Any more questions? Now, I said we're going to have 6 authors there next Saturday. I brought one of the authors here, Miss Teresa Gloucester. So she's going to get up and talk about her book, and I'm sure if any of y'all have any questions for Teresa, Teresa's a folk artist, painter. I know y'all seen some of her work through the community and stuff. She does a wonderful job with her paintings and stuff, and she written a book. Her book is real nice. I hope she brought some up here in case y'all want to purchase a copy. But I do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all learned something about the Freeman community. They did one time, maybe 2-3 years ago, they went through the Freeman community and put markers where all these places was located. I think they're still there, some of the markers where the library used to be, where the grill is, and all that stuff was being marked out. Yes, sir.
What streets define the community in Illinois?
Is it Finley? Finley.
It would say Wilson Street.
Wilson?
Wilson Street, and then 320.
321. Yes. Main Street, yeah. Yes, sir, Rick.
Lester, I really like the point you brought up a little while ago about, and actually the introduction mentioned this as well, Black history is really part of our history.
Yes.
Put this together. And you're 6 months off from Harambee, the festival that goes on in the summertime, signifies unity.
Yes, unity and togetherness, Swahili word is Harambee.
Absolutely.
I do a festival. That's the oldest festival in Caldwell County. I always say the Butterfly Festival. That is not the oldest festival around. Harambee Festival is the oldest, longest running festival here in Caldwell County.
I guess my question is, this month being Black History Month, what other activities, you mentioned the jazz?
Well, tomorrow we're doing a blood drive. there's a shortage of blood in our community, and so far I have 36 signatures signed up to donate blood, and we're gonna be giving away door prizes and stuff. But if you're not scared of needles, come on out and donate some blood. And then the 26th is our Black History Quiz Bowl, and that's William Lenore and Gainwell and High Brighton and West Caldwell. We've been doing that for 16 years. And let me talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. It started from a friend of mine, Miss Vanessa Hartzell Rodriguez. She started this quiz bowl. She's no longer with us, but Vanessa was a good friend of mine, and she wanted to do this for the kids, and it's been great. The kids have a lot of fun and enjoyed it. I remember that one year, West Caldwell, I think they lost 2 or 3 matches to High Bright. West Caldwell brought all their honor students and everything on that quiz bowl. And I told Ms. Miller, I said, well, you ready this year? And they won. They was ready this year. But it's fun. If you don't have nothing to do, it's at 6 o'clock. It's the quiz bowl. It's the middle schools first and then the high school. But also we have an essay contest. The kids get out and read their essays, and they win $100 for the best essays, and run up get $75. So kids enjoy doing that. So come up and support the kids and see what they've been studying for Black History Month. And that would be the end of Black History Month. If there's no more questions, I'm going to move aside for Miss Teresa Gloucester. Let her come up and speak about her painting and her book. She's going to talk. But I do appreciate y'all, and I hope to see some of y'all come up to the exhibit. And hope to see y'all come to some of the events that we have. Thank you.
I had my experience too with the Bookmobile. So I painted this last night and this morning. I didn't get to spread, but we were very excited too when the Bookmobile would come to Bushtown. That's where I live. And so I know what Lester's talking about. And I paint from my memory, so I didn't know if I was getting the bus exactly right, but I could remember all those books and standing in line and waiting till your turn. I'm not really going to talk about my story today. It's talking about me. I'm going to a show in Farrington Village next weekend, and I'm going to show you some of the work that I'll be taking to this show. Now, I haven't put the song on this painting yet, but I've got 2, and I don't know which one it's going to be. But I know it may be the Lord God is my shepherd, and I shall not want, or it may be walk with me, Lord, walk with me. And I said, now how can I do this painting this time? Because I painted this before, and I want it to be on a positive note. And I think the Lord God is my shepherd, that I shall not want, would be the perfect song. And it goes like, oh, the Lord God is my shepherd, and I shall not want. The Lord God is my shepherd, and I shall not want. The Lord God is my shepherd, and I shall not want. Save me, Jesus, save me. Why don't you save me, Jesus, save me? Save me while you passing by. Now, that would come from the Pilgrim Travelers. That was from Bushtown. That was a group, my great aunts, and they used to sing that song. And I said, what else could come out of this positive? Can't you see a laundromat service and a cleaning service? This is what they done. This is how they wash clothes. They started out. I was talking to some ladies one day in the beauty shop, and I had painted a painting with the ladies on the scrub board, and they said, we used to go to the branch. And this is what it would look like, but I had to spruce it up a little bit so it looked more on the positive note and not on the negative note. Could you bring the next painting, please? I hope that won't fall. Now, we had 13 in our family. And it wasn't, you know, and when everybody would come home, you just had to make a place to sleep on the floor. You didn't even think anything about it. Oh, you know, Mama and Daddy was happy, that, oh, especially Daddy. Daddy was a coal miner from West Virginia. And we moved to North Carolina when I was 5 years old. And, but Daddy stayed there until he retired from the coal mine. So this is what the holiday would look like, because after Mama, she had her first 5 children, and then 8 years later, she had one every year till she had 8 more. And so she was still having children after her daughters were married and gone. She had maybe 3. And so they had children too. You know, some of us are the same age. So anyway, this is real life. Like I said, I paint from my childhood memories. Yeah. And could you bring the next painting? Yeah, this is Mom and Daddy just you know how the parents used to get back and look at their children and all the beautiful love that they have, and you know, it just touches your heart because, you know, you see them do that. I think that it may not, I don't think it's going to work. You think so? Now, yesterday, I belong to the Brush and Palette Club, so yesterday I had this piece critiqued. And it was like, you know, when the man was looking at it, you know, he liked the work, but it was, you know, he was talking about different things that people take to make a piece of artwork. Now this, do you all remember the feed sacks? And we would make these little dresses and wear them like on Sunday. It would be our new dress. And our parents my mother taught us everything. And even though Daddy wasn't there, she knew how to keep us in check. She had her way, and if she didn't get it done, woe be unto you if Daddy had to get onto you. But anyway, I said, now this is cute. I found all these little pieces of stuff, you know, cardboard and pieces of material and buttons. And they knew how to make it. You know, there is nothing that I don't think that my grandmother couldn't do or couldn't make. She could just do it. And, you know, I said, this is designers in the making. That's all that is a designer, a dress designer, or, you know, when you grew up, you were very educated in whatever Mama knew, you knew it too. I had the best cook, we had the best cook in Caldwell County. Now you could say that too, but Mama could cook. And she said, I could cook a rock and they would eat it. That's how good she could cook. She could sew, she could weave baskets, she canned food, and anything that she could do, I can do it too, because that's just the way it was. And at holidays, everybody in our family can cook, so everybody has bragging rights. If you don't have confidence, don't come to our house. And if it's not home cooked, please leave it at home. And I tell my aunts and uncles and my relatives, you can't cook Mama's dressing for me, because she used to ask me to taste of it. And it's like, I only know what her dressing really tastes like. And her yeast rose. You know, after her, I say, it's me. And but you know, everybody is like that in our family. Can you bring the quilt that's wrapped up? There's, I don't know if it'll see. But they really got you prepared for life, you know, at home. And a lot of girls, right after school, they just got married. But you knew how to do everything. You can just, they were quilt makers and everything else. I didn't want you to see this stuff before I could show it to you. Now I'm going to this show, and when I go to my shows, I represent Lenore, I represent my family, just everybody, you know, if you're from this area, you know, you want to put on a good show. And like I said, Mama was a designer. And you know, most artists, we're starving artists. We don't have money all the time. So I said, I'm going to a folk art show. So I said, I want to represent us good. I want to represent the family. And I put all this together. And that's Daddy singing John Henry. And this is going to the, this is 3 kids in a bed. And I said, that's more, this would be more children than space. And this is a Saturday night bath. And I said, what is a dress without a coat? So I decided to make a coat to go with my dress. Yeah. And listen, there will be a lot of artists. Most all the artists there will have their attire. And everything is like you make your own. And this is and I haven't attached this tie right here, but I got one more that's more of like red, white, and blue with the American flag will be on this side. So maybe at another date, you will get to hear my story. This is not my story, but I'm here to represent, you know, the community today, to help, you know, with the library and the things that go on in the family. We had to start somewhere, humble beginnings, and we had some great loving parents and good foundations. So that's the end of my presentation right now.
I'm in that family. I can tell you the home cooked meals good because I date her aunt. So you bring some canned stuff in there, it's getting thrown outside. So don't play. Any questions for Teresa?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes, I did. There is a book here.
The book over there?
Mm-hmm.
The book. I think it's over there in page 2.
We do have a book here though.
Inside the case.
I think it is. It's inside the case.
When did you say that Farrington Village thing is going down?
It starts next Friday night, but it'll be all day Saturday. Next, is it the 19th, 20th, and 21st? That weekend, next weekend. And you know, everywhere that I have traveled, people, they always tell me that you should do children's book, you should do a children's book. And so this picture here, I have a storage building at home. And I just looked at it one day and I said, that would be pretty painted. Then I added a room to the building and then a porch to the building. So it looks like one of those little gunshot houses. And it's real cute. And you can look, this is all about camp. I used to go to camp when I was little. We go to, I went to the Mennonite Brethren Church, and every summer we went to camp. And you stayed, it was for 2 weeks. And, you know, we didn't have phones anyway, so everything was just geared around just Bible studies and things like that. But this would show how breakfast, we always had breakfast together, and Daddy would say the grace. Now, I'm not going to read this, but I'm just going to just sort of show you, these are the paintings that I do. And revival was one of the best times in the world for us because you didn't go anywhere. You didn't, if you left the house, your parents were with you, and Daddy, they would tell you, don't you leave the premises. And they meant that. And this is just showing like when I say more children in space, sometimes it might have been 6 in a bed. And you look at that now, but you grow up and that was just life. And we would meet at the church. They would say, meet at the church like maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. And all the kids would bring their little suitcases full of clothes. And we would travel from my church. Then we might run to West End or somewhere else and pick up another load of children. And then off to the camp. It was a little place in Ferguson. And when you're little, you think that's the biggest place in the world. That was I couldn't believe it when I, got older and went back. But this is what it would look like, the little camp house. And it had a little church. And kids from Boone and Beach Bottom and Laytown and West End, well, all over, just kids from Lenore too. And this would be some of the activities would be, like playing on the swings. And this here is showing that we would go to the river to swim. Well, to play in the water, because I don't think any of us swim. And then on the way back, you had to be bothered with bees. And somebody said, you better watch out for them bees. Because it seemed like every year you got stung. I know I did. And more kids got stung. And this is a painting that people really love, this painting. Because a lot of people have beehives and they just love the idea of the bees. And then, you had to get in line for everything, like the bathroom, getting ready to go to your next service. Now this one is showing how the kids would sit up here, and then I said I'll add this one to show how we sit at home. There again, the grace was the most important thing. You didn't eat. Daddy would say, only thing that he would say, did you wash your face and hands before you come to this table? And he would say the grace. And this is one of the activities that we done. We played horseshoes. And another thing, we would have watermelon or a snack or something like that. Yeah. And then a lot of times there wasn't enough space for Bible study in the inside, so you'd had to have some of the classes on the outside. And there again, I didn't hear kids, now they complain about bugs, and I don't think we even thought about that. And then we would have a campfire and we would roast marshmallows. And this one, we had 3 beds for a bunk bed. And I don't know what they have now, but we had 3. And I don't know how we lived, because, well, I guess you were little and that seemed real high, but maybe it wasn't that high at all. And then the boys had the 3, and we didn't have, the bathroom wasn't in the inside. You had to go outside and around the back of the building inside, they had an inside bathroom, but it just wasn't in the area you slept in. And this would be on our way back home from camp and back home to Bushtown, the community. And this is on my kitchen wall. And my next book will be Mama's Big Wash Day. And you can purchase this book online by just putting teresagloucester.com. It sells for $27. I do have a few with me here today. They're out in the car, but I have them with me. And I just appreciate you taking the time, because this that I do, it seems easy, but it's not. Am I prepared for next Friday, Saturday and Sunday? No. Most artists are not. You would get that everybody was going to be spraying work, that, you know, you're just getting ready for the opening show. And there's so much that I have to do. You know, I'm a beautician. I got to work tomorrow. And, you know, you just juggling stuff all the time. And do I need all kinds of help? All kinds. You know, you just, if you don't ask, if people don't know, they just don't know. But maybe there's so much that I have to do and have to have done till, you know, you don't know how you're going to get it all done. But some way, somehow, you know, you there, you do the best you can, and you put on the best show that you can put on. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Tate with Caldwell County Now and Then, now in association with our local museum, the Caldwell Heritage Museum. If you like what we do, please donate to our museum. The address is 112 Baden Street, Lenoir, North Carolina. Thank you very much.